Flash that into
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this very special evening. Thank you very much for your patience and thank you very much for coming along. Before we get started, just to let you know, we're obviously right next to the bar, so if at any point you want any refreshments, there's tea and coffee on sale, there's cold drinks, alcoholic drinks if you want that as well, on sale there. The toilets are right at the back if you need a loo break, and obviously the main exit is there as well. It's about health and safety done with. We are going to have a break as well, in case we need to stop at any point. We are going to have a break though at halfway through the evening. We obviously know Bellevue, the oldest and most famous speedway club in the world, and we have a lot of iconic names associated with the Aces, and we're very fortunate that we see a lot of them still at Kirky Lane. Obviously Peter Collins comes to the pits every now and again to watch a meeting. We've obviously got Chris Morton here as well. Not that I'm saying he's historic yet, but he's over at the back there. But it's fortunate that we get to see a lot of them still hanging around and coming to visit the Aces. But it's great to put a night on like this and welcome back one of the greats. A great not just for Bellevue, but a true legend of Speedway as well. And I don't think any kind of introduction that I do will do it justice, so I think your applause and maybe appreciation will speak volumes. So please welcome Mr. Ivan Mauger. Ivan, well, before we get started with the questions from the audience, tell us, when did you get over here?
We got over here on the 27th of June. So we've been here nearly a month.
And tell us what you've been doing. Because you've done quite a few of these evenings already, haven't you?
Yes, we've done, well, we had a couple of weeks off before we started, but we've done Cardiff, and then we've done Newport the next day, Exeter last Monday night, and Paul on Wednesday, Sheffield Thursday, and Stoke last night. And we're here tonight, and Bellevue again on Monday. So I feel like I'm a speedway rider. I'm going to tracks every second day.
Do you enjoy doing these kind of things, though, meeting the fans?
Yeah.
And kind of
Yeah,
reminiscing?
I've always enjoyed meeting the fans. We had a big fan club at one time, and we used to have fan club nights. I think we had fan club nights in this hotel before it was rebuilt. And we used to have them on Tuesday nights at the old Bellevue, halfway along the back straight.
And how often do you get to come back over here? Because you're still based in Australia, aren't you?
Yeah, we come back every year. Ever since we've retired. I've retired anyway from racing. We come back every year, and this last year was the first year we didn't come back, 2009, because the guy that's just left said, I saw your accident in Yugoslavia in 1981 long track world final. I said, yeah. The only reason we didn't come back last year was because I had a correction surgery on that ankle in April, and I was on crutches for 3 or 4 months. So that's the only reason we didn't come back here last year. But we're back every year.
You're here this time particularly to promote your book as well, The Will to Win. Why did you want to do a book first of all?
Well, we done Triple Crown Plus in 1971, and that book was okay. We got paid a lot of money up front from Pelhams to do it. Peter Oak's done like 95% or 98% of it himself, and I thought it was money for old rope, because I was riding 3 or 4 or 5 nights a week in England and every Sunday in Europe. But I thought if I do another autobiography, 98% of the words are going to come out of my mouth. So I had to have Martin Rogers to help me put it together, because I would do so the chapters on Newcastle or Bellevue, or The Way We Were, which tells all about the money I lost in Lloyd's and stuff like that. I'm over that now. And I had Janice, my secretary Janice, comes in on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. So I dictate it all, and we'd have Newcastle 1, Newcastle 2, Newcastle up to 10 or 12, and same with Bellevue and Hull and Exeter. And then I'd correct it with Janice and read, and then send it to Martin, and he could put it in the right order, correct my ex-freeway rider's grammar, put the apostrophes in the right place. Wrote on her chapter by herself. Martin just corrected some grammar. He didn't have to correct much of Gray's grammar. So yeah, that's how it came about.
Was it an enjoyable experience for you to put that together?
Yes, I started doing it. Actually, I started doing it halfway through 2000, and I didn't do anything for about from halfway, like June or July 2000, until about 2005, because I run the long track world championship rounds in New Zealand in 2003 and 4. But I worked on it from like halfway through 2001. Took a long time to organise. And but I started really probably about 5 years ago, and because it's my book, I had to make all the facts and figures correct. In fact, the only thing we didn't do in the book, we lived at 60 Abingdon Road in Bramwell from about halfway through 1969 season, first year I was at Bellevue, and we sold it in October of 1971, and we bought the house, the big house up at Woodford, which we lived in from then on. But we were renting 62 Abingdon Road, and in the back of my mind I put all the family in the window at 62 Abingdon Road, which was actually 60. So, but I've got all the dates of every meeting I've ever ridden in. I've got all the points, whether I got a maximum or whatever.
So I mean, how long does that take? I mean, it must be an encyclopedia going through that.
Yeah, I've got a record of all that stuff, and so that's how it came about. And I thought, because it's my book, if I put something happened in June or 1974, somewhere I could get it. That was June 1975 or something. So I had to correct all the, I had to do all the corrections.
And are you pleased with how it's turned out, and has it been well received so far?
Yeah, I'm pleased with how it's turned out. The Rough Diamond is the Newcastle story. Aces High is the Bellevue story. Flying West is the Exeter story, and One More Time is Hull. And I tell that in that book how the circumstances of how I joined each club, and the circumstances how I had to leave each club. So it'd be interesting for Bellevue people to see all that.
We might get you to perhaps talk about some of your favourite chapters a little bit later on. I mean, you're very much involved still with Speedway. You've still got a great passion for the sport, haven't you?
Yeah, I run training schools all around the world, and I like to be with the young guys. Keeps me young as well. I'm training like 13, 14, 15-year-olds up to 21 or so. And I quite often talk on their level. So, yeah.
You still enjoy doing that. Still keeps you in the sport, doesn't it? And do you keep up with all what's happening in British Elite League and on the world stage with the Grand Prix?
Yeah, I just I do that, and I also keep a list of all my young Aussie and New Zealand riders and the young English riders, Americans and Germans. I've had training schools all those countries, and I follow their careers when they get into British teams and Premier teams and things like that. Most of the Aussies that are over here now in Premier League and sometimes in Elite League have come through my training schools. There's a picture in Lee Adams' book with when he was about 15 or 16, Jason Lyons, Scott Norman, I can't remember how many of those guys were in that photograph. And a week later, I had a training school in Sydney that Craig Boyce, Scott Wiltshire, all those guys. Yeah. Anyway, it's been an interesting life for me. As I said in the book, I've never ever looked on it as going to work. I'm very, very lucky to have a hobby job all my life, and I've still got a hobby job with the schools and stuff.
Well, we're going to move on to some question and answers just in a couple of minutes. So just thought, before we started, we'll have a bit of fun with Ivan, and we're going to do a quick fire question and answer, just me and you, before we open it up to the rest of the audience. So it's a game of either or, okay? Just 10 questions. First one. Being a speedway rider or developing young riders now? Either or.
Probably both. I was happy when I was a speedway rider, but I'm now happy at running training schools.
Very good one. Speedway racing is better in Britain, Poland, Denmark or Sweden?
I think Britain.
Britain. Okay. Jawa or GM?
I'm a Jawa man.
Hyde Road or Wembley?
Well, we only rode at Wembley occasionally, but Hyde Road was such a beautiful track to ride at, and I've said in the book about in the Aces High, there's nowhere to hide. When you made the start at Bellevue, at the old Bellevue, there was nowhere to hide. You had to just go for your life, because in those days there was like 2.5 or 3 genuine heat leaders in every team. So there was so many beautiful lines around Hyde Road. So had to go for your life.
Next one then. Wembley or Cardiff?
I've been to Cardiff. I think Wembley was.
Winning your first World Championship or setting the record at 6?
Well, winning the first one, you're always a world champion if you never ever win one. But I think the best I ever rode was 1970 in Rocklaw, winning it 3 years in a row. That was the only time, I think, in history that the winner got 15, second got 14, third got 30. And actually, Trevor Hedge helped me in that meeting, because Edmund Migosh was the reserve, and he was going to start off gate 2 in my last race. I was on gate 3, which was quite slick. And Hedgie was doubled up with pain from his crash a couple of races earlier. And I already knew this, that Migosh was going to be in that race. And I said to Hedgie, well, Hedgie was in it, but if Hedgie didn't ride, Edmund Migosh was going to be in it. And he was a Rocklaw track specialist. He had the best gate 2 and stuff. So Hedgie rode my spare bike up to he said, I can't ride in a lap. I said, just go to the start line, when the takes go up, drop the clutch and soon go into the infield. And that stopped me, gosh. I also said in the book that Kelly Moran helped me win in 1979. At one time, I was an 8. I'd been beaten by Michael Lee. Ollie was 8. Oh no, that was before. Ollie was on 8. Somebody else was on 8. And I wanted Kelly to beat them, because if they won, either of those guys won that race, they'd be on 11. I was on 11, and they were on 8, and I'd had 4 rides. So Jessup made the start in that race and won by a mile, but Kelly got second, and Ollie was running over his leg all the time, and Michael Lee was last. So Ollie only had 10, and Michael Lee still only had 8.
Okay, next one. Receiving your OBE or carrying the Olympic torch at the Sydney Olympics?
Have to say OBE.
Jason Crump and Nicky Pedersen both have 3 titles to their name. Who will go on to win more?
I think Jason. I don't think Nicky's. If he keep losing his temper at the Grand Prix, I don't think he's going to win anymore.
Tony Ricardson or Jason Crump?
I think Jason Crump, because Jason wins from the back quite a lot, and Tony won 5 of his World Championships in the GP system, and I think that's easier than the one-off system. The GP system is, you've only got to consistently get into the finals or get to the semi-finals. You don't have to win any big meetings like Mark Loran won in 2000. He got into half the finals and didn't win any.
Last one then. Tony Ricardson or you?
There's only one answer to that one.
That's for someone else to answer.
Oh, you can have it.